You have to modulate your leadership. Doesn't matter if it's the battlefield or the boardroom. Leading a team means knowing when to push and when to pull back. You have to recognize when your people need to be driven harder and when they need a breather. That's leadership. Constant adjustment, constant awareness. And in combat, it's amplified. Push too hard, they break. Not just mistakes, not just burnout, real consequences, life and death. In business, yeah, people crack under pressure, they make mistakes, they might quit. But in combat, it happens fast. So you have to stay dialed in, watch your people, read them. And sometimes you screw it up. Sometimes you push too far. You see it in their eyes. Too late. You should have caught it sooner. But that's the job. You learn, you adapt, and you get better. What I had on my side was experience. And I paid attention when I was coming up, when there was no war, when it was the 90s. I listened, I watched. The guys who had been there, who had done it, the ones you'll never hear about, but every SEAL knows their names. Legit badasses, Vietnam War heroes. When they spoke, I listened. I held on to every word. That's what prepared me. Not just training, not just time in the teams. It was learning from those who came before me. The SEAL team doctrine wasn't written down, no manuals, no textbooks. It was passed down, word of mouth, one generation to the next. That's how the lessons survived. That's how we got better. You can't be cocky. You can't walk around thinking you're always going to win. That mindset will get you killed. The moment you believe you're unbeatable, you stop preparing the way you should. You don't train as hard. You don't give everything you have to make sure you're ready when the moment comes. And that moment, it's unpredictable. It might happen once on a deployment. It might not happen at all. Or it might come at you every single day. You don't know. So you train. You prepare. You stay humble. Because the second you think victory is guaranteed, that's when you lose. The sentries holding down the fort, trying to protect, taking cover under relentless enemy fire. Then comes the suicide truck, a vehicle-borne IED, loaded with explosives, driving straight into the compound. Boom. Dozens killed. And they didn't do it just once. They hit multiple locations at the same time, coordinated, calculated. They knew exactly what they were doing. Was I impressed? Did I respect their tactics? Absolutely. Always. You have to respect the enemy. The second you don't, the second you underestimate them, you're dead. That's arrogance. That's a lack of humility. And that's how you lose. Respect the enemy. Respect their capabilities. Stay sharp. Stay ready. Or get taken out. Doesn't matter what your mission is, capture or kill bad guys, build something, sell something, design something, manufacture something. The goal is the same. Get the team aligned behind a plan and execute efficiently. And at the core of it, people. It doesn't matter if you're in the SEAL teams, the Army, the Marine Corps, or the business world, you're leading human beings, not robots. You don't just bark orders and expect flawless execution. That's not how it works. If it were that simple, military leadership would be the easiest job in the world. But it's not. Because leadership is about people, understanding them, motivating them, getting them to buy in, to own the mission, and to execute. Not because they were told to, but because they believe in it. That's the difference. That's leadership. My guys didn't just do what I said because I outranked them. That's not how it works. And when I talk to leaders in business, I see the same thing. Their people aren't doing what they want. And I ask them, can't you just fire them? They work for you, right? You write their paycheck. They should follow orders. But they don't. Why? Because they're people. And people don't want to be controlled. They want ownership. They want to have a say in their own destiny. They want to build the plan, not just be told what to do. No one wants to be treated like a robot. They want to be treated like a human. And if you don't give them that, if you don't let them take ownership, they won't execute the way you need them to. Leadership isn't about giving orders. It's about getting buy-in. It's about building a team that believes in the mission and takes ownership of it. That's how you win. So don't come at me with, oh, it was easy for you because you had highly trained, highly disciplined Terminator robots working for you. Not true. In fact, the opposite. I had a bunch of hard-headed, stubborn, thick-skulled guys. Exactly the type you were just talking about. And my job wasn't to just tell them what to do. My job was to get them to want to do what I needed them to do, to make them believe it was their plan, their mission. That's leadership. And here's the truth. If your plan is weak, if it's poorly thought out, your people won't buy in. They won't execute. Leadership isn't about barking orders. It's about building trust, getting buy-in, and making the mission theirs. That's how you get results. Same thing in the business world. If I don't get your input when we create the plan, you're not going to execute it the right way. That's just how it is. So when it's time to execute, I'm not handing you a plan. You're going to plan it. Now I'll check it. We'll collaborate. Maybe I have more experience. Maybe I see something strategically that you don't. But you build the plan, because when you build it, you own it. And when you own it, you're going to execute with more effort, more precision. That's real. It's hard to quantify, but it's real. If you create the plan, you're going to give everything you've got to make it succeed. But if I just hand you a plan and tell you to execute, you'll go through the motions. You won't own it. And that's a problem. Doesn't matter who you are. That's reality. Ordering people around doesn't work. You have to lead them. And here's another buzzword, accountability. You hear it all the time. You have to hold people accountable. Sure, accountability matters, but it's just a tool, a secondary tool, not the primary one. In fact, accountability is a crutch. It's what you lean on when you fail to lead properly. If you do your job as a leader, if you build trust, if you create buy-in, if your people take ownership, you don't have to constantly hold them accountable. They hold themselves accountable. That's the goal. If you're always relying on accountability to force people to perform, you've already lost. Lead right, and they'll want to execute. That's leadership. What you want to do, and I talk about this all the time, is not focus on holding people accountable. I didn't do that with my guys. I didn't walk around checking their work, inspecting every move, making sure they were doing what they were supposed to do. I didn't have to, because they wanted to do the right thing. They were aligned with the mission. They took ownership. My job wasn't to make them do it. It was to hold them back when they were pushing too hard. It's not about enforcing accountability. It's about leading in a way that makes them lead themselves. When they take full ownership, when they drive the mission forward without you constantly pushing, that's when you know you've succeeded as a leader. When you're almost out of a job, when you can sit back and your frontline troops, your subordinate leaders are making things happen without your direct involvement, that's leadership done right. The only time you should have to step in is when things start going sideways, when you see something drifting off track. Otherwise, your team is running the mission, and that's the goal. You want to be a SEAL? Good. But wanting it isn't enough. You have to earn it. That means training harder than you ever thought possible, pushing past exhaustion, past pain, past the voice in your head telling you to quit. Because that voice will come, and most guys listen to it. Everyone wants it. Few are willing to do what it takes. The ones who make it, they don't just show up when it's easy. They show up when it's miserable, when everything hurts, when quitting seems like the only option. But they don't. They keep going. If you want it, prove it. First off, don't try to be like me. Be better than me. Crush me. Make me look weak. That's your goal. And don't just talk about it. Don't sit around thinking, planning, waiting for the perfect moment. Get after it, make it happen, use your will, because that's the strongest thing you have. Your force of will can push you through anything. So take it, use it, and make it happen. 200 start, 150 start, doesn't matter. Hundreds quit, grown men. Guys who dreamed of being SEALs, who trained for years, signed the contract, committed 6 years of their lives. Then they show up, and when the pain hits, when it gets real, they ring the bell. No one knows who's going to make it, not until you break them down, rip them apart, expose what's inside. That's the only way to know. So what does it take to not ring the bell? Don't quit. That's it. People ask me all the time, what should I focus on for buds? Train hard, don't quit. Nothing else matters. If you want to be a good leader, you have to understand human nature. And the times when human nature reveals itself most clearly, extreme suffering, inhumanity. That's when you see who people really are. I led hard-headed, stubborn, determined men. I couldn't just order them around. I had to get them to want to execute the mission. That's leadership. And it all comes down to trust. Trust is built on relationships. Relationships are built on trust. If you don't trust me, we don't really have a relationship. And if we don't have a relationship, I can't lead you. First platoon, training operation. We get into a tactical situation. Everyone's locked in on one area, weapons up, eyes downrange. 16 guys all waiting for a threat to show itself. And I'm waiting too, waiting for someone, anyone, to make a call. I'm a new guy, bottom of the chain. This isn't my place. Someone above me should step up, give an order, make a decision. But no one does. So I keep waiting and waiting. 30 seconds, a minute. Feels like forever when you're supposed to be taking down a target. No movement, no direction, just silence. And finally, I told myself, all right, I need to see what's going on. So I did something simple. I pointed my weapon at the ceiling, took a step back, and looked around. And that's when I saw it. Everyone, my platoon commander, assistant platoon commander, leading petty officer, every single guy was locked in, staring down their weapons, waiting. No one was making a decision. But because I stepped back, because I detached for just a second, I could see what needed to happen. So I pulled together every ounce of courage I had, because new guys don't make decisions. And I called it hold left, clear right. A basic command, something we'd rehearsed, but it was the call that needed to be made, and no one else was making it. I expected someone to shut me down. Shut up, Jew. That's what I thought I'd hear, but instead they repeated the command, hold left, clear right, which meant we were executing, and sure enough, the left side held, the right side cleared, and we got it done. And instead of someone telling me to keep my mouth shut, one of the senior guys said, hey, good job up there, way to make a call. That hit me. I thought, how did I, as a new guy, make a better decision than the more senior, more experienced guys? And then I realized it wasn't about rank. It wasn't about experience. It was because I stepped back. I detached. That was the difference. At that moment, I made a decision. From now on, every tactical scenario, I stepped back, I detached. No matter the chaos, no matter the mayhem, I would force myself to look around, see the bigger picture, and I did. In land warfare, in the mountains, in urban combat, every time. And it was like a superpower. I could actually see what was happening, see what needed to be done, make better decisions. Then I took it further. I started using it in conversations. If we were in a disagreement and you got emotional, instead of reacting, I'd step back, detach, ask myself, why is he so worked up? What does he see that I don't? And that changed everything. Detachment became a leadership weapon, a tool I use to this day. Second platoon, our platoon commander, the guy in charge of the whole platoon, wasn't experienced. He didn't listen. He didn't take advice, didn't take guidance. Everything was his way or the highway. And we had a mutiny. We went to our commanding officer and said, "Sir, we don't want to work for this guy. He was arrogant. He didn't listen." And eventually he got fired. That left a mark on me. I watched it unfold and kept asking myself, why don't we like this guy? Why won't anyone follow him? The answer was simple. He was arrogant. He didn't listen. He didn't give us ownership. Everything was about him, not the team, not the mission, him. And that's why he failed as a leader. That lesson stuck with me. That mark got even deeper when the guy who replaced him stepped in. This wasn't just some officer. They brought in a legend, a SEAL with ton of experience. He had come up through the ranks, served at every type of SEAL team, and now he was taking over our platoon. And I thought, well, here we go. They're bringing in a hammer. We mutinied, so now they need someone to whip us back into shape. I expected him to come in hard, lay down the law, and make sure we fell in line, but that's not what happened. I was expecting this hardcore, no-nonsense guy to show up, a hammer, someone who would put us back in line. But when he arrived, he had a smile on his face, and he was humble. One of the first things he said was, "I look forward to working with you guys." Working with us, not taking over, not I'm in charge now, just I'm here to work with you. Right away, everything changed. Instead of dictating plans, he put us in charge. Instead of telling us what to do, he'd say, "You guys come up with a plan. Let me know how you want to do it." Suddenly, we had ownership. We weren't just executing orders. We were driving the mission. And that made me think back to the first guy. The difference was clear. Arrogance versus humility. Control versus trust. That's when I learned. Humble leaders listen. Humble leaders give ownership, and that's why people follow them. 3rd platoon, solid team, good leadership. We were out in the desert running a training op when targets popped up. We engaged. Everyone dropped into the prone and started returning fire. And like I had been doing all along, I detached. Took a few shots, then stepped back to see the bigger picture, and I saw the call that needed to be made. I waited, gave the platoon commander a couple of seconds to make the call. He didn't, so I did. PO left. The team echoed it. We pulled left, moved out, gained distance, reset. Then we stopped the training exercise and went into the debrief. During the debrief, the platoon commander looked at me and said, "Why did you make that call?" I told him, "I saw what needed to be done and you hadn't made a call, so I stepped in." And then he said, "Well, I actually didn't want to peel left. I wanted to assault the target." In that split second, my ego flared up. I could have snapped back. I could have said, "Well, then make the call faster. If you're not going to step up, I will." But I didn't, because in that moment, I realized something. I didn't need to make the call. The situation could have developed more. I had jumped in too soon. And that's when it hit me. It's not about me. It's about the team. My job wasn't to be the guy. My job was to support the guy, to back up my leader, to put my ego aside and move forward together. Because that's what leadership is. It's not about you. It's about the team. People talk about relationships and trust like they're separate things, but they're not. They're interchangeable. Trust is built on relationships. Relationships are built on trust. If you don't trust me, we don't have a relationship. Simple as that. And if you want to be a good leader, you have to understand human nature. The times when human nature reveals itself most clearly: extreme sorrow, suffering, inhumanity. That's when you see what people are really made of. And if we don't recognize what causes those things, where they come from, why they happen, we're doomed to repeat them, because they will happen again. Unless we learn, unless we lead. You think you've got time, you think life is long, but if I could talk to my 26-year-old self, I'd tell him the truth. You don't have time. You don't know when it's going to end. So don't wait. Don't waste another second. Get out there, do the things you want to do. Get after it, push yourself, strive to be better, because life, it's a gift. And the only way to honor that gift is to live it fully right now. I always wanted to be a commando ever since I was a kid. And when I heard about the SEALs, how tough they were, how brutal the training was, I knew that's what I wanted. And yeah, everyone outside the teams makes a big deal about buds, but once you're in, nobody cares. Everyone goes through it. You get cold, you get wet, you do a bunch of push-ups, pull-ups, dips, whatever. That's just the price of admission. I've seen guys who were world-class athletes, NCAA champions, Olympic-level competitors, quit. Because being a SEAL isn't just about being an athlete. That's just the baseline. The real test starts after that. It's about mental toughness, grit, the ability to suffer and keep moving forward. That's what makes a SEAL. A good SEAL isn't just an athlete. A good SEAL is a good leader, a guy who's tactically sound, a guy who makes good decisions under pressure, a guy who never quits, who will do whatever it takes to accomplish the mission. That's what matters. And you never stop learning. You never stop growing. I was learning until the day I retired, because it's not some big moment where everything suddenly changes. It's a process, a constant grind, building skills, repeating situations, gaining confidence. That's how you get good. That's how you win. When you're in the moment, fear of getting shot or killed isn't on your mind. It's not what you're thinking about. But when you're waiting to go out, that's when it builds. You sit there thinking, there's a lot of bad things happening out there, and one of them could happen to me. And then you realize there's nothing you can do about it. Not unless you want to quit. Not unless you want to resign yourself to a life of cowardice. But if you choose not to do that, if you step up and say, I'm ready. If I die, I die. Then you're free. Because once you overcome that fear, there's nothing left to be afraid of. No one wishes for peace more than the ones who've been to war, because when the war drums sound, it's my friends who fight. It's my friends who put their lives on the line. That's why the ones who've been there, the ones who've seen it, are the first to say, let's think about this. People throw the phrase around like it's nothing, but war is hell. You take an 18-year-old kid, drop him into a place where he has to kill people, where he might get wounded, might get killed himself. That's trauma. That's something he carries forever. So before you send men to war, you better know why. You better understand what's at stake, because war takes will, the will to fight. And like I've said before, the will to fight is the will to kill, and the will to die. Those are not small things. Those are everything. What's stopping most people from moving forward? Lack of discipline. No one wants to hear that. It's the harshest truth. Discipline is hard. It's work. It's every day. And when people see that word, discipline, it hits them like a slap in the face, because they know it's true. But if you have even a fraction of self-discipline, the ability to push forward when you don't feel like it, that is powerful. That is everything. Without discipline, you won't be in shape. You won't be successful. You won't get smarter, stronger, or better. If you want to change who you are, you have to face who you are not. And the way to do that, discipline. It is the root of all good qualities, the foundation, the key. Discipline equals freedom. You want freedom in your life? Earn it. You want to achieve something? How do you do it? Through discipline, through hard work, by knowing exactly what you need to do and then actually doing it every single day. You have to face yourself. Look in the mirror. Ask, what am I going to do today to change what I see? It starts with you. Through hard work, you can outwork anybody. You can push further. You can be extreme in your discipline. Someone asked me, how do you master discipline? You don't. There's no finish line. You show up every day. You put in the effort. You break the old version of yourself and you keep going. Confidence doesn't come from never being afraid. Confidence comes from overcoming fear. No one enjoys criticism. No one enjoys discomfort, but that's exactly where confidence is built, in the discomfort zone. The tougher the challenge, the more confidence you gain. The more confidence you gain, the better you get. And the way to build it, work. Most people run from difficulty. They take the easy path, but not me. I did what I knew how to do. I worked. I pushed. I figured it out by looking inward, because being a warrior, it takes a different mindset, a mindset built on effort, discipline, and embracing the hard things. That's what I was meant to do, even as a little kid, 5, 6 years old. The only thing I ever wanted was to be a commando. There was never a question, never a doubt. And when I got there, when I became a SEAL, quitting was never an option, not once. SEAL teams go to war. That's what we do. And if you don't have to think like a warrior, you're lucky. You're privileged. I chose this life. And if I had to do it all over again, I'd choose it again. But understand this. The warrior mindset is different. It's not normal. It's not easy. It's built for one thing: to fight, to win, to endure. And most people will never understand it. You have to be that person standing at the door, ready to go in, thinking, if I die, so be it. Because being a warrior takes a different mindset. The truth is, bullets don't have names. They don't care who you are. They don't care how much training you've had, how prepared you are. They don't discriminate. They just hit. And if it's your day, it's your day. Once you accept that, once you truly embrace the fact that you could die, you move past it. You stop hesitating. You stop fearing the inevitable. And that's when you're free to execute. A lot of people quit, but there are also people who fail. The difference, your willingness to suffer. If you're willing to go into that space. Real suffering, your mind and body, when fully connected, can do anything. When you're truly driven, nothing in front of you stands a chance. You will destroy it. I was just a scared kid who found drive and passion to become something greater than what I thought I was. That's why I talk about the warrior mentality. Because the only way to step through that door, the only way to face the unknown, is to accept that there's a real chance you won't come back, and you go in anyway. I worry about missing out on opportunities because I have friends who will never get that chance. They didn't come home. They don't get to execute on anything ever again. And that's what I told my guys. We crossed the line. And once you cross that line, there is no way to replace, describe, or overcome the gut-wrenching sadness of losing a teammate. The first time, the second time, the third time, it never gets easier. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to say. So I told my guys exactly that. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to tell you. But I did know one thing. We go back to work. Because if Mark was here, he would want us to go back to work. So we lock and load. We go out and we do what we do. That's the reality of combat. When people are in hard situations, that's when human nature is revealed. And the better you understand human nature, the better leader you'll be. The only kind of person who can't improve as a leader, the one who lacks humility. Because if you don't have humility, you can't learn. You can't grow. You think you already know everything. And that makes you weak. A leader has to be balanced. And the older I get, the more I realize. The less I know. One of the biggest lessons in leadership is understanding that your words matter. Your actions matter. People are listening. People are watching. And they are either respecting you or disrespecting you based on how you carry yourself every single day. The way I build trust, I give trust. That's how it works. I don't hold back. I don't make you earn it for years. I give it. Because trust builds trust. If I micromanage you, if I control every decision, you'll never step up. You'll never learn to lead because you were never allowed to. Leadership isn't about control. It's about trusting people to rise to the occasion. Would you rather win or just be liked? Those aren't opposites, because the team that likes each other, they win. I'm taking the lessons I was lucky enough to learn and passing them on, because if I can help people avoid the same mistakes I made, then they don't have to suffer through them. Regret, you'll always have it, but I don't dwell on regret, because there's nothing you can do to change the past. The only thing that matters is what you learn from it. I look at mistakes and ask, what did I learn? What could I have done better? And then I take those lessons, I apply them, and I move forward. I don't make the same mistakes twice. That's the difference. Every single day starts at zero. No past wins, no past losses. Just a fresh start. I have to move forward with an open mind, a humble mind. When someone gives you feedback, you listen. But to do that, you have to be humble. If you're not humble, you're not looking for feedback. And if you're not looking for feedback, you're not improving. No feedback, no growth. It's that simple. For me, everything I look at, I try to see through a humble lens. Because if you don't, it's going to be a problem. Arrogance blocks progress. Humility drives it. When I'm looking down the sights of my weapon, my world is small, focused, locked in. But the moment I stop shooting, I lift my weapon, take a step back, and look around. Everything changes. I can see infinitely more. And as a leader, you have to do the same. Detach, observe, see the bigger picture, and most importantly, listen. A leader should be listening 98% of the time and talking only 2%. And here's the truth. You're going to fail over and over again. And then you win. That's life. Fail, 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 fail. Win. Keep going. Life without challenges, that's just existence. Don't just exist. Live. Inaction will cost you. Eventually, it will catch up to you. Your default setting should be do something. Get up, move, face the challenge, attack it, do something hard. Struggle? Yeah, it sucks. But it depends on how you frame it. If you want freedom, you need discipline. Move toward the challenge. Whatever it is. Maybe you succeed, maybe you won't, but you will be better. And when the next challenge comes, you'll be more prepared. That's how you grow. You're going to win, you're going to lose. You'll have successes and failures. Good nights, bad nights. Good relationships, bad relationships, good ideas, bad ideas. You'll make money, you'll lose money. It's all going to happen if you let yourself ride the emotional roller coaster. High highs, low lows. It's going to be a problem. You have to stay steady. Embrace your emotions, but don't let them control you. Push through the things that suck. It's hard. It hurts. But quitting isn't an option. So what do? You go forward no matter what. You keep moving. You're going to win. You're going to lose. Success, failure, good nights, bad nights, strong relationships, broken relationships. It's all part of the game. When you talk to people who didn't make it through SEAL training, most of the time they give you a reason, a medical issue, a family problem. Very few will look you in the eye and say, I quit because it sucked. But that's what happens to the vast majority. They didn't fail, they quit, and that's the danger. Excuses. Your excuses will destroy you. They will take everything you ever wanted if you let them. Sure, they might make you feel better in the moment. They might soften the sting of failure, but they don't help you. Not at all. This went wrong. That failed. You didn't accomplish what you set out to do. And whose fault is it? Not your boss, not your girlfriend, not your parents, not the weather. It's yours. And that means you have the power to fix it. That's extreme ownership. No excuses, no blaming, just ownership and action. When you look around at your life, your job, your finances, your relationships, your health, and you see the problems, owning them is hard. Saying the reason I have these problems is because of me hurts. It stings. And that's why most people don't do it. Their ego rejects it. Instead, they make excuses. They lie to themselves. And if nothing is your fault, then nothing has to change. But if nothing changes, you stay exactly where you are. Weak, stagnant, stuck. But when the excuses disappear, when you face reality and admit, this is all on me. Yeah, it hurts, but it's also power. Because once you own it, you can fix it. You can take control. And that's when everything changes. The more discipline you have, the more freedom you gain. If you lack the discipline to exercise and eat right, you become a slave to disease. If you lack the discipline to work hard and save money, you become a slave to debt. If you lack the discipline to manage your time, you'll never have free time. But if you do have discipline, if you work hard, save and invest wisely, manage your time, stay fit, and take care of yourself, you will have freedom. Freedom to live how you want, to do what you want, to be who you want to be. Discipline equals freedom. Apply it now, and you'll see the results in every aspect of your life. Go out and do something hard. Maybe you win, maybe you lose, maybe you succeed, maybe you fail. Doesn't matter, because no matter what happens, you'll be better. But if you don't have discipline, if you don't work hard, don't train, don't apply yourself, you'll be shackled, trapped by your own inaction. If you're lost in the woods, start walking. You might not know exactly where to go, but moving forward is the only way to change your perspective. Standing still, doing nothing, that's waiting to die. That's waiting to starve. Don't let that happen. Move. Take action. Keep going. As men, we get conflicting messages about emotions, how to handle them, how to express them, what they even mean. And right now, a lot of men are struggling. Every human faces challenges, and you have no idea what someone else has been through, but suppressing emotions won't help. And letting them control you won't help either. You're sad? Fine. You feel emotional sometimes? Okay, got it. But now get control. Carry on with your life. Sometimes those emotional waves will hit you. That's normal. It doesn't mean something is wrong with you. But the other extreme, letting emotions dictate your decisions, making excuses because of past trauma, that's just weakness. That's an easy excuse. And guess what? It's time to carry on. No dwelling, no excuses. You're in control. This is your life. Own it. Move forward. If you're in the problem, you won't see the solution. Take a step back. Detach. Detach from the chaos. Detach from the mayhem. Detach from your emotions. Detach from your ego. Only then can you assess the best way to execute. That is the job of a leader. Any human trait, masculine, feminine, whatever, taken to an extreme becomes a problem. No emotions, that's a sociopath. Let emotions control your life, that's weakness. Neither works. The goal, balance. And balance is hard. It's easier to shut off completely. It's easier to let emotions run wild. But the hard path, the right path, is finding balance in business, in life, in leadership. Because at the end of the day, it's about winning. It's about the team winning. And balance is what gets you there. So find it, hold the line, and keep moving forward. Discipline equals freedom.